Welcome, race fans, to another season of NAGP Thursday Night GT1 Racing. I'm Jack Ivy, and I'm along with...
Ken Rodriguez. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to Season 21 of GT1 Racing.
And we're starting out the season tonight with the Super Pole qualifying session, which is going to be a single lap Super Pole, followed by a 30-minute qualifying race, and we're coming from Dubai tonight.
That's right, Jack. Dubai, United Arab Emirates. This track here is a 5.39 kilometer track, 16 turns. It currently has a track record set back in 2008 by GP2 Asia, 141. Some of the practice times we're cooking here also with some of these GT1 cars.
Yeah, and Super Pole qualifying, for you folks who don't know what that is, single lap, one car out. You're going to have an out lap to get everything warmed up, the engine's warmed up, the tires heated up, and then one lap to lay it down. All the pressure's on the drivers for one lap, and right now we've got David Rowley out.
That's right. One lap, one flying hot lap, and they got to make it count, Jack.
Yeah, David Rowley, he is one half of Plastic Hoosier Racing Team, racing out of Wallasey, Great Britain, and he is in the number 10 Saleen S7R. I really like these Saleens.
Yeah, so do I, Jack. You know, I was watching the draft for the GT1, and seemed that the Saleens were a hot commodity again this season. A lot of guys up in arms that they didn't get their pick, but we'll have to see as the season goes along, you know. It's all about the driver and the machine together.
Well, this Saleen is one of the cars that was driven by Brad Maris and Andre Prado in Anger Racing last season, and they absolutely dominated last year. Congratulations to those two on a stellar season last year. Let's see how Rowley does in the Saleen in his hot lap.
Yep, absolutely. He's just ready to complete Sector 1 as he comes around the bend there.
And being first car out, he's going to set the time to beat, but he was a little bobbly going over that last set of curbs there. What are we looking at hot laps here there? Ken, what do you think?
Well, so far what I have seen, fastest lap in practice today was a 150. Most of the top fast guys are in the 152 range, 152 flat, or just a little bit above that. But we got to see. Right now, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. It's dry out there. The ambient temperature is 59. So these engines are loving these cool temperatures, and the tires should warm up nicely with 77 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, they'll definitely be on their stickies for this out lap and push the RPMs up to the limit and close the rads down. So we'll have to wait and see if they can break that, get down into that 150 zone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. These guys are going to be all out today as Rowley goes a little bit wide and takes out a measurement marker there.
And he puts in a scorching lap, a 150. Very good for him.
Yep, that's definitely going to put him up towards the top, Jack. 150, I think we only saw just one person in practice hit that 150 mark.
Yeah, and that was Reinhard Berger. He's in substituting tonight for Ian Joliker, so he has laid it down in practice, but Rowley came right back to him.
Yep, Rowley put it down when it counted the most.
On track now, we've got Salem Montgomery Jr. in the Pagani Zonda GR.
Yep, driving that Pagani, and you know what? We've got to give a lot of credit to Salem. Salem's come a long way, just from last season, as a matter of fact. He has made great strides. He was the winner of the off-season fun race, the non-podium finishers race, and ever since then he's been cooking.
Well, he is definitely a man on a mission this past couple of seasons to improve, and boy, oh boy, we all wish we could improve like he has.
Yep, absolutely. He's garnering some of them alien powers there.
Yeah, he's just about a half second off in that first sector, but that's still decent times. I really like this Pagani Zonda. Well, he's down about 1.3 seconds after the second sector.
Yep. And this season in GT1, we are actually running two models of the Pagani car. We have the Zonda R and we have the Huayra. I believe that's how it's pronounced. A lot of guys are liking that car too.
Yeah, considering that it wasn't even chosen last season.
That's right. And this season it looks like we have a full team running.
Out on track now, Andre Prado, one of our stellar hot shoes here at NAGP.
And what a switch this season for Andre, son, driving the big Ford GTR.
Yeah, he's given the Ford GT a run this time, but you know what? This guy could drive a shopping cart to the finish, so it's not going to surprise me that he's going to do well again.
I'm telling you.
As we mentioned earlier, Andre Prado and Brad Maris, boy oh boy, what a team they made. They just smoked the competition. And well-deserved break you're taking there, Brad, but your competition's probably real happy to see you take a bit of a break.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen, and some real-life issues coming up and all that, Jack, but thanks for having me here to the broadcast. I'll pop in and out when I can here tonight, but I am currently on assignment, as they say, out of town away from my standard computer, but I'm really looking forward to taking part in some of this qualifying here tonight for this upcoming Season 21 GT1 Championship. Should be a lot of fun.
It definitely is. Is Andre going to miss some of your setup help there?
Well, I'm not sure. He may, but Andres doesn't typically actually need too much help. I think that he thinks he needs more help than he actually does, and certainly I'll be around and available throughout the course of the season for a couple tidbits here and there when I can.
Well, as always, Brad, you've helped so many drivers in this league here. I'm just going to say thank you for all of us. And there it is, Andre Prado hitting off a P2, just over 150.
Yeah, so Andres, I know, was really looking forward to the Ford GT. It looks like he jumped in one. He is on the Pirelli tires. We have actually driven this car before.
And what would you say is the downfall of being on the Pirellis, Brad?
Well, not too much downfall, really. The Pirellis can take a little bit longer to heat up lap to lap and can hurt you a little bit in qualifying, but Dubai is long enough, and I think the temperature is up enough to where those tires should get nice and warm by the time he put in his timed qualifying lap. As you could see, he did pretty well.
Did excellent. And out on track now, we've got Kevin Savoy coming up to his first split time.
Kevin Savoy driving the Jet Alliance Aston Martin DBRS.
Yeah, and Kevin Savoy in this car should be a pretty darn good mix. Kevin Savoy, of course, always fast as it is, fast in about anything he drives, but he does like the power cars, and this is one of them.
Well, I think he's going to have to definitely open up his rat a little bit for the race because he is smoking that motor tonight.
Yeah, just first sector about 1.6 seconds off the pace right now. Looks like he's trying to pick it up here in sector 2.
Yeah, interesting to see that 1.6 seconds off, a little bit more than I would expect, and I think that number is going to climb even higher.
It sure has. You're right on, Brad. He's almost 3 seconds off the pace now. Coming around the final turn into the start finish. He will be sitting back in the pack though.
154.5.
Coming around to start his hot lap, Matt Taylor.
And Matt driving the second set of Pagani car, the Huayra, as he comes across the start-finish line to start his lap.
Yeah, my hat's off to all the guys that help out at NAGP. They really did a great job at modeling these cars.
Yeah, boy, that Chris Moses does put a lot of time and effort into these packs. Of course, with help from the NAGP community as well, doing some testing on those cars, make sure that they're all pretty equal and balanced. So a lot of credit goes to Chris Moses for keeping this such a competitive, fun league.
It sure is. And while we're watching Matt, he's coming around to his first sector split. And he's about a second and a half off. I'd like to just mention NAGP, we run Monday and Thursday nights, and you're more than welcome to contact the CCs, the admins, and hook up with us. Come on out and race with us on Mondays or Thursdays, or join them, watch us on the broadcast.
Yep, and in addition to the Mondays and Thursdays GTR2, for those that are into iRacing, there is a Saturday league. Get on the NAGP forums and check it out if you need more information.
Matt Taylor through the second sector, about 2 seconds over.
I had the opportunity to drive that car a little bit, Jack, when the car pack was released. I got to tell you, I really do like that Pagani Huayra. I like the original Pagani in the car pack, but the Huayra also, as Matt gets a little loose. I'm sorry, I am watching this. My pictures are a little bit behind, but I do like that car.
So Matt slips into P5. And out on track now, coming around to start his hot lap, Johnny Mac McIntyre.
Yep, and Johnny Mac driving the Nissan GT-R.
And the French
four-wheel drive, fairly well balanced.
Yeah, and the French Connection had that last season, and they were rather competitive, although we did watch those guys get a little hairy sometimes in those Nissans.
Oh, absolutely. Low downforce wing setups and a lot of screaming engine RPMs make for a very interesting mix.
Well, let's see how...
They did put it to good use, however.
They did. They got a lot out of that car. Johnny Mac just under a second off in the first sector.
Not bad at all. Better than I anticipated. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, I did a few laps last night on this track, and it definitely is challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got a very nice flowy side to it, but then you do have a technical side. So this track offers up a lot of just about everything for all of our drivers here at NAGP. Certainly a challenging track.
Yeah, and if I could add, it's actually not too tough a track to be consistent at. However, those one or two mistakes you do make will really throw your lap times off by a bunch. So small mistakes can cost you a bunch around here.
Absolutely, and even more so for the fast guys whose times are so closely knit together at the end of qualifying sessions. You got to keep your concentration level up and just drive as fast as you can. Keep it clean.
Well, Johnny Mac puts himself into provisional P4, and out on track now is Greg Myers coming around the final turn to start his hot lap, Mr. Smooth. Yeah, Brad, when I was doing the laps out here, I was kept on thinking about my driving instructor telling me you really need to set the corners up, and I think this is a track that really demands those slower corners and need to be set up absolutely perfectly to get a good run off them.
Yeah, surely. Of course, coming down those long straights, you definitely want to carry as much speed as you possibly can. An important consideration around here, and braking can be a bit important as well, really, as you mentioned, into some of those slower corners.
I found it very challenging.
Yeah, turn one's always a tricky corner to get right around here, and particularly on the start. Always a point of contention, possibly.
Usually is quite exciting at NAGP at lap 1.
Yeah.
And I think last year we saw a little more action in the GT1 and lap 1s than we've seen in previous seasons. So maybe these guys are carrying some bad habits over from the Monday night into Thursday night. Greg Myers coming around to finish up his hot lap. And Greg jumping up to provisional P3.
Not a bad run. 0.930 seconds over, and like you said, provisional third place. Very nice.
And back to back, we've got another Celine out there, Chuck Carter.
Yeah, going back quickly to Greg Myers, that was a good lap. Of course, that Selena's pretty darn good car, and teamed up as usual with Aaron Parsons, or teamed up with him this season anyway, and that should be a very strong team over the course of this season.
I got to agree with you there. Aaron, one of the top shoes in the league, and Greg, one of the smoothest drivers in the league, who just not the greatest qualifier that we've seen on Thursday nights, Brad, but definitely one of the smoothest guys, and works his way up into the points every race.
He's got that Celine looking really good running around this track, holding the corners tight.
Yeah, Chuck is looking really smooth out there.
It's just about coming up on the completion of Sector 1.
And Chuck is way off.
Yep, 3.4 seconds behind.
Yeah, looking at a few of those lines, Jack, I noticed that he was a little bit off the apex there, so I think not maybe maximizing his cornering speed as much as he could.
Well, there you go. There's the difference, Brad. From someone who knows how to drive, as you as one of our top instructors does, he looks smooth to me, but smooth to me meant slow to you.
Well, look, nothing wrong with being smooth at all. That's a first order of business. After that, you can work on trying to maximize what the car can give you. But first order of business, keep the darn thing smooth and on track, and you're generally going to do pretty well. And Chuck does.
Absolutely, he's always there at the end. Provisionally in P7. And right behind him, starting his hot. Go ahead, Ken.
No, I was just going to call out his lap time at a 157.6.
And out on the hot lap now, Big Al Merriman.
Driving the Ferrari F40.
Yeah, very interesting choice here. Al Merriman and Chris Moses jumping in this F40, of course, teamed up now for 2 seasons in a row. And I got to say I was slightly surprised by this pick. I think that Not a surprise maybe as some other people are, but this car has a great potential around these courses over this season, I think.
Yeah, now, is this a new edition of the F40 for us here at GT1?
If I'm not mistaken, Jack, this is the original F40 that's been in the car pack for the last couple seasons. Of course, there has been another one added since its first inception, this iteration, I guess. So I believe that this is the original, and it sure hasn't been showcased, I don't think, enough in our leagues here on Thursday night. So it's good to see it out there.
Yeah, it is, because it's been passed up the odd time in previous seasons.
I think Chris Moses and Al Merriman, I probably just want to diversify their portfolio in racing vehicles, and they seem to have wanted this choice. When I remember listening to the draft, I was a bit surprised at the choice. Interesting choice, as Brad stated.
Well,
okay, guys. Well, it's going to be a short break for me. I'm so sorry, Jack. I will be back in a little bit, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that last performance by Big Al puts him in provisionally P4.
Incredible. That was an incredible run.
And back out, back to back, it looks like we have another Ferrari, Juan Monroy.
That's right, Juan Monroy driving the Ferrari 40 GTE car.
Well, the Ferraris typically have been perennial favorites around here at NAGP, but this F40 seemed to get passed up quite often.
Yeah, there was some comments in the forums that I saw, Jack, how surprised some of the folks were. This was as it related to the GT2 season, where last season a lot of the cars that were picked were ignored this season, and vice versa for the ones that were ignored that got picked. So interesting how folks decided to choose their cars this season.
Well, Juan has got the F40 wound out. He's just 0.4 of a second off pole in the first sector. And Juan's been, nipping at the heels of a win, and boy, he is right there at the finish. He's had some great races last year. He's been a pleasure to watch all season last year, so we're looking for big things from Juan this season.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you consider the caliber of talent that's at NAGP, it's no easy feat to score a win here. You got to be on your P's and Q's, and it's just got to be your night.
Yeah, we have got a great handful of talented drivers here at NAGP, but I don't want to scare anybody away. We've got great racing from front to back, and Juan coming over the finish puts him into P4.
P4 with just under a second off a pole. And speaking of poles, we have David Poole out on track right now driving that very, very colorful Lamborghini. You can't miss it.
And colorful it is. When I saw this in the car pack, I was surprised.
Oh boy, I tell you, it looks like my daughter's coloring when she was back in when she was 5 years old. She used to have at it in the coloring books, and she would at times just produce something that looked similar to this car.
Well, if anybody can get production out of this car, it is going to be David Poole. He's one of the most technically mechanically versed people in NAGP about the car and their handling capabilities. So let's see how he gets a handle on this one.
Wow, .159.
He is right there.
Yep, if he can hold it together and tighten up his lines and maintain speed, he may be looking at taking over the pole position provisionally.
Well, that is going to be a really good time, as you said, if he can keep it together for one more. Of course, the pressure is on. They've only got one hot lap to throw these times down, and that can sometimes be tough.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You only get one chance at it in Super Bowl qualifying, but that's what also makes it very exciting for these guys that put all of their focus and attention into driving these vehicles. We've got 2 so far in the 150s. He's coming around the last corner now. Let's see what time he's going to put up.
I think he's looking good here. Good enough for P2.
Very nice run. And he was just behind Dave Raleigh's time.
I think we've got a frozen car on the track, or it is me.
Did you? I'm seeing Laurent Wiseman now driving around the track. Hopefully you are too, Jack.
Well, I'm seeing him going around the track, but he looked like he froze up there for a little bit.
Yep, I think that may have been an issue on his end because I was watching the same thing and then it freed up.
He is sliding that car around, but that's no different than they did with the Nissans last season. It looks like we've got a little bit of a connection issue with Laurent Wiseman.
Yep, I think Laurent Wiseman may be creating some lag here on the server, so we'll just keep an eye on him and see how he does throughout the sectors, and wish him a good run out there as he comes in just under a second from the pole time.
Laurent, the back half of the French Connection in the big Aston Martin. And I think we lost him.
So on board with Chris Moses in the Ferrari F40. As he comes around getting ready to start his hot lap.
And let's see how Chris, the other half, Precision Motor Racing, handles this Ferrari.
That's right. And early on in practice, I was actually on board with Chris and watching the lines that he was taking. But I got to tell you, Jack, he was smoking this Ferrari F40.
Well, he's another one that is one of our top pilots here at NAGP. And it just amazes me how he can slide his cars around. He loves them really loose and still generate some of the quickest times out there on the track.
Yep, absolutely. That's just his driving style. I've tried several of his setups that he's posted online, and I got to tell you, it doesn't suit my driving style. So his way of driving is certainly unique.
Well, unique enough to take that sector.
Absolutely. Did you see that? He's cooking out there right now.
He sure is, and he's a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely, and for those that were watching us last season, you've seen him several times where he started down in the pack or happened to manage to get knocked back a few positions and has made a charge to the front at times. So certainly interesting to watch Chris Moses.
Yeah, last season probably wasn't one of his best seasons, but you know, I got to think that this season him and Al are going to come out and challenge for the team championship.
I believe so. He's about 0.3 of a second under pole time, so as he comes around the last turn, he bobbles a bit, but let's see what happens.
P1. And he probably, without that last bobble, he would have been in there by a lot bigger margin, I do believe.
Yep, absolutely. But good on Chris for taking provisional pole. And we are now on board with Jesse Caldani. And the other very bright and colorful Lamborghini.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Jesse might be subbing in tonight. And I'm going out on a limb here for Andrew Werner, because that is the team-mated car to David Poole.
That's right. That's right. You are absolutely right. As he crosses Sector 1, just under a second off of the pole pace.
So Jesse's turning in a decent time here tonight as a sub driver, and just letting a cat out of the bag here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jesse is the youngest competitor we have at NAGP.
Really? That's an interesting fact to know.
I'm not going to let it all out of the bag, but boy, oh boy, I've got socks older than Jesse. Caldani coming around to the final turn. He's looking decent here.
Yeah, he certainly is. Not pole pace, but not bad. Just about 2.2 seconds off the pole pace.
Hey, provisionally P9 is not too shabby at all.
Good on Caldani.
Out on track, Liquid Lou Mascarelli.
Lou Mascarelli driving the Ford GT, one of our heavier cars. And I actually got a chance to do a few laps in that Motec Ford. And you can feel the weight. However, I drove it in the rain, and it seems very nice and stable in the rain.
Boy, oh boy, I just couldn't get a handle on those big Ford GTs at all. But Lou has got is one half of the racing team of the Axis of Awesome, and his teammate's Alex White, and we all know that Alex is one of the deadliest shoes we have here at NAGP, so Lou might do quite well this season with a mentor like Alex.
Absolutely. So we look for great improvements out of Lou. He's about 2.2 seconds off the provisional pole pace right now. So it looks like he's still getting used to the car, and I'm sure that we'll see him improve as the season moves on.
Yeah, we definitely will.
If I could jump in.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Sorry, Jack. If I could jump in real fast, Lou is not really known for his qualifying. Doesn't typically put it close to the front, but really has been able to improve his overall position by the end of these races. And boy, that 3-hour race is going to give him a lot of opportunity to move up. And I think Lou's in store for a pretty good season.
Well, a lot of that, of course, I spent a lot of time chatting with Lou, and I know Lou would throw the kudos over at you, Brad. You helped him a lot at the driver school, and he really appreciates that, and so do all of us here for all the guys that you help out. Lou, provisionally P12. On track with John Waffen.
John Waffen driving the Lister Storm. Also got a few laps in on this one. I really like this car. Don't like the look of it so much, but man, this car can smoke and it can cook. Ooh, big cut.
Little bit of a cut there, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, guys, watching this qualifying session progress. The track record around here in qualifying is a 1 minute 50.1 second lap there by David Poole in the McLaren. I'm surprised we haven't seen a few more times a little deeper into the 1 minute 50 second range. So I suspect we'll see a few times coming that get close to that.
I think as we get deeper into the field there, Brad, we're going to see a few of the guys hit the 150. It's not going to surprise me, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see maybe that record fall.
That, and I believe that, well, given the Super Bowl format, given that one lap opportunity, as we watched John Wathan a little bobble there, but given that one lap opportunity, if these guys had, say, 3 or 4 laps, I certainly believe we would see that record fall.
Yeah, that's right, and we've seen in practice some of these practice times from the top guys, particularly that guy to go off last here for the Super Bowl period. It can put a little extra pressure on that one single lap, and nobody's immune from making some mistakes on that one particular fast lap. So
that's right, absolutely.
Well, John gets the provisional P11 on track with Daniel Wilkerson.
Dan driving the Dodge Viper GTSR car this season.
Yeah, and Dan, I do believe, is driving the Viper in the Monday Night Series as well. So they must be getting quite the sponsorship out of Dodge this year.
In GT2, actually, that was one of the cars that my partner and I, Mike Greatrix, and I test drove and gave serious consideration to. It's the SVT Viper. As Chris Moses said, he gave it a lot of love this season.
Well, Dan is about 2 seconds off on that first sector split.
yeah, about 2 seconds off to the first sector, Jack. But this is a car that actually can perform pretty well through this second sector here at Dubai. So don't know if Dan's going to eat into that time at all compared to the guys around him, but it's certainly possible in this car.
Well, it would appear Dan has got his hands full out there, but bring it on home, Dan.
Yeah, second sector was just about 4 seconds off the pace there. So he dropped it a little bit, but just watching his lines around the track, missed a couple of apexes, went a little wide. But here on the last corner, he'll bring it home with a 4 second over the pole time.
And he'll settle in for provisionally P14 as we're on board with Jonathan Cuppert.
Yep, and John Cuppett driving the other Viper GTSR.
Coming up to his first sector split.
Yep, not looking too bad there. Maybe a couple seconds off the pace there.
Well, let's see if Jonathan can close that gap down in the second sector like Brad mentioned.
Held a better line than his teammate through that last turn there, so he may have improved some of the time.
Looks like Jonathan might be struggling getting the power down coming out of the corners. Coming around to the finish. And slots in ahead of his teammate in provisional P12.
On board now with Christian Hamilton, driving the other Lister Storm as he comes by to take his hot lap, turn 1.
Getting a little out of shape there.
Yep, he had several bobbles. I think one thing some of these drivers face in the beginning of the season, Jack, is maybe some slight confidence issues with the car as they get to learn the car and the setup. I know I've certainly experienced some of that with the Ferrari 458 and GT2, so more practice, more laps, more setup time with the car.
Well, Christian is one half of Team Elite, David Canavan, and there's another one of our top fast drivers in the league, so I'm sure Christian and Canavan will get things worked out and be very competitive as we get in deeper into the season.
Yep, absolutely.
Sorry, Ken. This Lister Storm is pretty low on power, but you can sure do a lot of things with the setup on these cars to extract quite a bit of speed out of them. And this Lister Storm actually has won a race here at the Dubai. It was on the Michelin-shod Lister Storm. However, it did perform quite well in the hands of Rocky C, who went on to win that race, I believe in season... Well, I can't remember the season, but it was a while ago.
And Christian into provisional P11. Yeah, I got to agree with you, Brad. Some of the lower power cars in the hands of, the top shoes constantly amaze me at how much they get out of them.
Yeah, the Lister Storm is a car that does not mind downforcey tracks. It's not so happy on big tight braking tight corners, but it does very well in the downforce sections and can be trimmed out, as they say, to take a lot of that downforce off and gain a little bit of extra speed.
On track with Aaron Parsons, and I'd be looking for some half decent times out of Mr. Parsons, the wonder from down under.
.074 off the pole pace right now. Going to look for him to pick it up here in the second sector, and that's Saleen SR7.
And we do know the Saleens can win championships in this GT1 league.
Absolutely.
Very good car. It can suffer a little bit from braking issues, but Aaron is about the best braker we have in the league. So if anybody can get it woed up for those corners, Aaron can.
Well, just a half a second off pole.
Yeah, and that second sector will be the weakest sector for this car. It should be very good, however, in the third sector. I'm interested on the track temperature out there, Jack. Have you seen it rise dramatically?
We're sitting at 82, so it's not jumping up in a big way.
Sorry, I cut you off from delivering that Aaron Parsons time there, Jack.
That's okay. On board now with Sergio Calderon. Sergio, one half of SJRT Columbia in the Ferrari GTE.
Really like the color scheme of this Ferrari car. Just reminds me of race schemes, car schemes from back in the 80s.
Well, Sergio about
Sergio put in a pretty.
Go ahead, Brad.
Sorry, Jack. I was just going to say Sergio had a pretty nice debut season. You know, he has worked pretty hard. I think he found the pace to be a little bit more elevated than he expected, but he's worked pretty darn hard, Sergio, and he has put in some very nice efforts. He got quite a bit better toward the end of last season.
You know, I got to agree with you. And there was always one guy out there that never said never, and that was Sergio. He was always there right to the end, and good on him.
Okay, another bit of a break for me, Jack. Hopefully I'll see you guys in a few.
Great stuff. Thanks, Brad. Sergio Calderon coming around to the final corner. Good enough for P13.
Good on Sergio, on board with David Canavan right now, driving the Lister Storm.
Yeah, and Mr. Canavan, our lucky leprechaun from Ireland. Great to have him join us again. I know it's been tough for these guys from Great Britain and Ireland with the time difference, but they make the effort to get in here and join us every week.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these guys are about 4.5, 5 hours ahead of us, and racing at 9 o'clock Eastern time. These guys got to get up essentially in the middle of the night. Give much credit to these folks for being a part of NAGP here.
Yeah, and so far on, coming up to the first sector split, and I thought so, David was looking really, really solid in that first sector.
Yep, keeping his apexes tight, and it looks like he's just driving a smooth line from where I sit. Let's see what happens here in Sector 2.
Yeah, and I have talked to David before. He absolutely loves this car. And I think he's the type of driver who could get that balance like Brad was talking about between lack of power and handling and utilize it. And there he is, 0.675 off the second sector time. So he's in pretty decent shape.
Yeah, absolutely. He is really, really moving that Lister around the track, and clean lines and just in and out as fast as he can. Doing really good.
Coming down to finish up. P5 for Mr. Canavan.
That was a really good run. Good on David Canavan.
Out on track now with Gup Douglas, one half of GM Racing in the Nissan R35. Well, it'll be interesting to see if GM Racing can get a handle on this car like the French Connection did last season.
Yep, absolutely. It's not a bad car to drive. It's setup dependent for the most part, from what from my experience with that car. So they can get a handle on the car. I think they'll be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, if Gup can get used to driving on the wrong side of the car, he should do all right.
The wrong side of the car. Yep, heard that debate in the open channel earlier today.
Well, I think there's only two right sides. One is on the left side and one's in the center. About a second and a half on that first sector split there for Mr. Douglas. Big news this year was in the departure of Chris Moses and Gup Douglas. as a team in GT2 on Monday nights. One of the longest teams that we had running in the GT2, so that was a bit of a shocker.
Well, you know, Jack, I just joined this league last season to start racing, so the history and the statistics still have yet to come to me. But that I saw some of the posts in the forum when Chris announced the end of PMR racing as it was known.
And Mr. Douglas coming up to finish P13. That's a decent finish for Mr. Douglas.
Absolutely, and we are now on board with Marco Conti driving the Ford GT. Marco Conti, one of our celebrated Italian drivers here at NEGP.
Yes, and he is hooked up with another celebrated driver this season in Andre Prado, Brad's former teammate. So Marco has really been coming on strong the last few seasons. Been around with us for about 5 or 6 seasons now, and boy, it's not going to surprise me that if these two guys can coordinate their efforts, that we're going to watch Mr. Conti up in the top of the pack.
Yep, absolutely, and not to mention that he is our Italian version of Ayrton Senna. When the wet stuff starts hitting the ground, you got to look for this man to move up.
About 0.8 off provisional pole. Yeah, very smooth wet driver. There's no doubt about that. And probably our most colorful journalists that we've got here. Boy, oh boy, I just love reading your posts, Marco, so keep them coming. We love your post-race analysis and chatter up there on the forum, so keep bringing them to us.
Absolutely.
Well, lost a little bit in that second sector.
As he comes around the last turn to take the checkered flag.
And he will snatch that provisional P11.
Yep, not a bad run from Marco at all.
Note with his driving skill, if he can start in around the top 10 to 15, he has a good opportunity to move up into the top 10.
On board with Andres Cole, driving the, what is this?
The Maserati MC12.
The Maserati MC12 Vitaphone. You know, I've always loved this car, Jack. Not quite that easy to get it to go around the track really fast, but I just love the power that this car puts down.
And so does Mr. Cole.
Absolutely, 0.77.
Turning in a real good effort there in the first sector, and let's see how he does bringing it along in the second sector. Andre utilizing all of the track. Down a little bit there in the second sector, but Andre is turning in at one heck of a run here at Superpole.
Yes, he is, Jack. Looks like he is trying to make the best of this run, this one-shot deal. As he comes around the last turn to take his checkered flag, he's flying.
Yep.
Now on board with Ryan Schleif, driving the Pagani Huayra.
And this is the loudest car on the track.
Yeah, Pagani's Honda certainly has a screaming engine.
And it sounds like Ryan is using all the RPM at his disposal.
Almost sounds like a Formula One car going down that straight.
It sure does. It sure does. And as I mentioned, it is the loudest car in the pack. I was trying to adjust the audios earlier, and no matter what I did, this one would just scream right out at us, and it's the only setting we could get, folks. Ryan doing a little lawn maintenance there.
About 1.9 seconds off the pole pace right now for Ryan Schleif.
Yeah, the second sector sort of let him down there.
Quick downshifting as he comes around the last corner.
And P14 for Ryan. Back-to-back Zondas here. And I mentioned earlier about Jesse Caldani being quite possibly the youngest driver. And not to let too much out of the bag here, but I think Marty Uren, racing out of California, is our senior driver.
And Marty Uren, also another one to watch, as he has proven himself a worthy opponent in our GT1 league in previous races.
Absolutely, another little tidbit about Marty. He is an actual former race car driver. I really like this these Paganis. I think they're a great car. I love driving these things. Just can't get them going fast enough.
You and me both, Jack. You and me both. Looks like he's doing a pretty decent second sector time. We'll see as he comes across the line now.
Yep, not
About
too shabby.
1.2 seconds off.
Coming around the final corner. And heel snatch provisional P11.
Yep, good on Marty. And we are now on board with John Sportelli driving the ferocious McLaren.
Mr. Sportelli, another one of our colorful characters out there on track, running out of Liverpool, New York. He's one of our great tough competitors here. Ken, I love watching this guy. He doesn't give up an inch, holds his line, and boy, if you want to get by John, you're going to have to race him for that position.
Yep, absolutely. We saw him driving the Ferrari 550 Maranello last season, and he, I believe, extracted every ounce of performance out of that car, especially towards the end of the season. Became very comfortable with it, and he was quite fast in that car. So I look for for the same, no less from John Sportelli out of the McLaren this season.
Well, the McLaren was hot last season, but did you see that sector time? Holy jumping, he is about a half a second under the pole time right now.
That's right.
Well, these McLarens did well last season, so look for a repeat again. And his second sector split, he's about 0.4 of a second under. If he can hold it together, John is going to lay down the time to beat. Wow, there you go.
Yep. I look for great things out of Sportelli this season. 21 with that McLaren. Takes the provisional pole with a 150-133.
Yeah, and those are the times that Brad was looking for earlier. I think we've gotten deep enough into the field that we may be reaching a few more of those times now.
Well, we're down to our last three drivers on board with Rich Roman driving the other Maserati MC12.
Rich, another one of our hot shoes here, so let's see how he does.
Yep, not too shabby. 0.752 seconds off provisional pole.
Yeah, you can bet Rich is aware of that time with his HUD display, and he will be pushing hard to make that up.
Yep, one thing we've seen here tonight, Jack, is that that second sector, she is just reluctant to give up her secrets.
Yeah, not too many of the guys have picked up any time. In fact, most of them have lost time. Sportelli was one of the few that has actually picked up some time in that second sector. The rest are actually losing a bit of ground in that second sector. And a P6 for Mr. Roman.
Very respectable.
On track now with the White Lightning, Mr. Alex White, racing out of Great Britain.
Scotland.
Yeah, Alex is one of our drivers here. I think he could take the my radio flyer wagon and take that thing to the pole.
Yeah, certainly one of our more faster drivers on the grid week after week. Alex White, great personality to interact with, always willing to lend a helping hand.
Yeah, he is good at setup and good at driving, and he is. Let's see how he does in the second sector, because he's not too far off.
Yep, just under 0.3 of a second, about 2.5 tenths of a second off.
And that last combination of corners, he looked really aggressive going through there, so it will be interesting to see this next sector split.
Yeah, these 4 GTs have so much torque in them. They're great coming out of corners. At times, a little too much, and he improves his time.
Another one of the very few who has improved on that second sector.
Oh, there you go, last corner. Make it count.
Wow, there you go.
There you go. But we are now looking at the fastest man in practice earlier this evening, Mr. Reinhard Berger, driving a Lister Storm as he comes across the start-finish line to start his hot lap. Let's see what this man can put up.
Well, we know he was good in practice, but can he lay down a single lap? We will find out.
That's right, Jack. Practice is practice, and Super Pole is Super Pole.
And we'll find out in about a minute 50.
There you go.
Boy, he looks smooth with that combination, though.
Yeah, I was just observing the same thing. Reinhard certainly smoking out there.
Really feathering the throttle going through that corner. And a little off, and let's see how he does in this second sector.
Second sector proving to be the most difficult for most of the drivers here tonight.
Yep, maybe 3 drivers have improved their time in the second sector, and all the rest have lost. Well, Reinhardt is subbing in for Ian Joliker tonight, and a great sub to have on your team.
.134, so he lost a little bit of time there. Still a great run as he comes around the last corner.
Wow, and he did it. That is unbelievable. He picked up all that time in the last sector.
Which happens to be the shortest sector of this track. Hardest to make up time in the third sector.
Well, boy, oh boy, that is very, very close. Reinhard Berger and Alex White. Man, that's less than a tire length between the two cars. And that's going to make for an interesting sprint, that's for sure. And coming up is going to be our half-hour quali race. So it's going to be interesting, that's for.
Yep, it most certainly will. And I think this may be a good time for us to take a little break, Jack, and be back in about 60 seconds.
Will do. So as I mentioned earlier, NAGP. We're running Mondays and Thursdays. GTR2 racing. GTR2 on Monday night and GTR1 on Thursday night. Anybody interested? Come on along. Get in touch with the admins. Get checked out. Join us. We've got great racing from P1 to P40 at times. Big fields. Great car pack, thanks Chris Moses. Great track selection, thanks for the administration, and probably the best group of guys you could race with. So come on out and join us. Also, just a little housekeeping here. NAGP is funded strictly by your donations. Dig in, guys. Let's keep things going here. We've got a great league going, a great community. Dig in. If you like what you do here, throw us some bucks and enjoy along with us. So tonight is myself, Jack Ivey. We've got Kenny Hot Rodriguez with us, and Brad Maris has been joining us, popping in and out during the evening. We've got about 40 seconds left in quali 2, which is our rejoin time, and it looks like we've got Paul Hall, who we didn't see out on track, has joined us as a late join. So welcome, Paul Hall. If I am not mistaken, Paul Hall is driving the Corvette, and he drove that Corvette, the Madcroc Corvette, in previous seasons. So look for great improvement from Paul Hall this season. So while we're waiting for warm-up to come along, there's your order there, and we will be going into warm-up. I don't think we're going to have...
And we're back, Jack.
Yeah, great. I don't think we're going to have any change. From what I could see, I think what we're going to get in our warm-up will be what we get during the race. Being a 30-minute race, I think we're going to have fixed weather conditions.
We can certainly hope. Boy, I can't wait to see what the weather conditions will be throughout the season for Season 21, both GT1 and GT2. We've seen some really interesting and challenging weather changes. It has tested the ability of all of our drivers across all NAGP, and I don't expect that we're going to see anything less this season around.
No, the changeable weather mod is it's the same for everybody, but it can, as you said, it is definitely challenging at times.
Absolutely.
And I think last season, I think the guys had seen enough of the rain and were praying for dry conditions.
Well, right now for warm-up, 80 degrees track temperature and 65 ambient. Good racing weather.
Well, if I was going to play a weather predictor, I would say that's pretty close to what we're going to get during the race. Now, Ken, I think we're going to have our hands full, and the action's going to be great, as this is a 30-minute dash for the cash. The top two drivers are locked in. So, we've got Reinhard Berger, who is subbing in for... Geez, he's subbing in for Ian Joliker, and I'm not sure about the rules, Ken. If Ian comes back for next week's main feature, will Ian sit in the pole?
That's very interesting. I have not seen the rule book yet at NAGP as it pertains to the Super Pole event and then the feature race next week. So that's going to be an interesting topic of discussion perhaps this week in the forums.
And it's one we'll have to keep on for our viewers to find out actually what will happen there. Maybe when Brad comes back in, he'll be able to clarify that for us.
Yep, absolutely.
But MCAN Racing sure picked one heck of a hot shoe to put in there as a sub tonight, taking the pole away from Alex White and John Sportelli. That's a great spot for John Sportelli in that McLaren, though, that P3.
Yep, it certainly is a huge and vast improvement for John Sportelli. He has certainly applied himself to bettering his driving skill and moving up the ranks here at NAGP.
Well,
good on John.
Well, he's always been a top 10 contender there, but he has got himself in a great position here to try and snatch a win away tonight.
$30-minute dash for the cash race tonight. I'm expecting anywhere between 17, 18 laps with as fast as these folks are going.
Well, maximum distance in the qualifying race is going to be 15 laps tonight. So even though it's a half-hour race, they've pegged it for a max distance.
That's right, they sure did.
So let's hope they can get the first lap settle down and out of the way. And as usual, I got the camera on Alex White, and he was just in pit lane practicing his starts. He has a super secret start. We're going to let that cat out of the bag right now. Alex actually starts with the pit limiter on.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
So there you go, guys. A little tip from one of our hot shoes. You can try it. It's I haven't tried it. I have enough trouble getting off the start line. I don't need to be pushing any more buttons. So, but it seems to work for Mr. White.
Well, the advantage to starting with the pit limiter on is that you do not spin your rear tires as much. However, execution of using the pit limiter on the start is a whole other story.
I can barely find my paddle shifter, so I'm not even going to try that one.
Yep, I don't think that's going to be one secret that Alex White lets out of the bag with regards to how exactly he uses that pit limiter on the starts. So it looks like these folks during warm-up have started started practicing with their race setups. Lap times have dropped considerably from pole.
Well, they all look like they're pretty racy out there tonight, so not going to surprise me that we're going to have our hands full keeping up with the action tonight, Ken.
Absolutely. Look forward to it, Jack.
Yes, race fans, another season 21 of GT1 racing set to get underway with a 15-minute dash for the cash to set up the starting grid for next week's 3-hour endurance race. I just cannot imagine 3 hours. It is going to take a lot of smooth, steady laps to move your way up in a 3-hour endurance race.
And a lot of hydration for us, the announcers, Jack.
At least we will be able to hydrate ourselves. I don't know. These guys are going to have at least 2 pit stops that they'll be able to grab a little drink of water or a little drink of coffee when they get into the pits. But other than that, they're going to be at it solid for 3 hours.
Absolutely. What I tend to do is I have a little Camelback hydration pack on the back of my race seat, and it's a tube that just feeds you the water. So not so bad. I'm pretty sure some of these guys get creative in how they set themselves up for these long endurance races.
Well, I tend to get my coffee and cigarette breaks, and here we go with the race, and let's do the rundown. P1, Reinhard Berger. P2, Alex White. P3, John Sportelli. P4, Chris Moses. In P5, David Rowley.
And starting in 6th place, David Poole. Andres Prado will start 7th. Rich Roman in 8th. David Canavan in 9th. And Aaron Parsons in 10th.
Andre Cole is P11. Gregory Myers in P12. Juan Monroy in 13. Al Merriman in 14. And Marty Uren in 15.
Salem Montgomery will start 16th. Marco Conti in 17th. Ryan Schleif 18. Johnny Mack in 19. And Gup Douglas will give you your top 20.
Christian Hamilton in 21st, Sergio Calderon in 22nd, Matt Taylor in 23rd, Jonathan Cuppert in 24th, and Daniel Wilkerson in 25.
And we have Lou Mascarelli starting 26, Chuck Carter 27, Sam Rolfe in 28, Lauren Weisman in 29, and John Wathen in 30.
Paul Hall in 31st, Jesse Caldani in 32nd, John Luden in 33rd, and that rounds out your field.
That it does, and we have about 35 seconds before race start. These drivers some of them are in and out of their pits trying to get that last second setup just right for the start of this 30-minute dash for the cash.
And Reinhard Berger and Alex White on the grid. We got about 15 seconds less left to the green flag. NAGP GT1 racing is about to begin.
There they are, revving their engines.
And we have action in the pack. There is all cars strewn out back there, but we've got Reinhard Berger cleanly away, but Sportelli and White are too wide going into the first corner, and it looks like Alex White has slipped in to take that spot.
Alex White and John Sportelli right on Berger's tail there, trying not to give up an inch here. Short race, 30 minutes only tonight, Jack.
Yeah, they won't be able to let anybody get by in this. If they let these guys get away, they're not going to have time to reel them back in. So we've got Berger, White, Sportelli, David Poole, Rich Roman, Chris Moses is back to 6th, Juan Monroy in 7th, Andre Cole in 8th, Marty Uren in 10th, and Big Al Merriman rounds up the top 10. And everybody going nose to tail and hard at it. Andre Cole getting sideways and bumped off the track there, but recovers a little bit. Juan Monroy picking up into 7th, and Chris Moses hangs on to 6th. Alex White in 2nd and looking for a way around Reinhard Berger. And Mr. Sportelli just sitting in behind White as well.
Yep, these folks are hauling. They're hauling in the front.
Boy, we've got a great battles going on here for 3, 4, 5 as well. Moses, Poole, Monroy, Andre Cole gets the car sideways, and Andre Cole has lost it there. He is clipped by a couple of cars. There is a lot of damage going on there, but they all get going again. Holy jumping, this field is just full of action.
Certainly is, Jack. Certainly is. Again, you know, very short race. These guys are putting in their all right now. Keeping it clean is a hard thing to do when you have such a short amount of time to try and make your moves on others that are racing around you.
Boy, oh boy. 12. 13, Big Al Merriman, Johnny Mack, Wathen, Taylor, Cuppert all the way to 17. The action is furious back there. We've got a couple of cars off. Looks like Greg Myers was taken
Marty
off.
Uren.
Yep. And Greg Myers got tangled up.
Salem Montgomery all the way back to 18th.
You know, I hate to say it there, Ken, but I don't know if we're going to be able to keep up with this action here tonight. There is just so much going on.
Boy, look at Cal Danny going on the inside line from Salem. Salem taking that position back, so they're battling for 18th and 19th respectively.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, there is racing going on all over this track. But up front here, Reinhard Berger is taking the lead, but is not getting away from Alex White, and John Sportelli is right there in the McLaren as well.
Yep, absolutely. Looks like Alex White is pushing as hard as he can, just trying to get right up under the rear bumper of Reinhard Berger.
Well, that Lister Storm, as Brad mentioned, might not have the power, but boy, Berger is starting to stretch that out a little bit, and with only 15 laps, they cannot afford to let this guy get out of their sights.
Absolutely not. Reinhard Berger will check out on you, given the opportunity. He's got clear track in front of him, so he's got the advantage right now.
So we got Berger, White, and Sportelli, and Sportelli has given White a handful there, but got a little bit of a bobble. And then it gets really interesting back. We've got Andre Cole, Marco Conti, and up into P10. Big Al Merriman, front end of his car is smashed to bits in P11. Johnny McIntyre in the Nissan in P12, followed by Wathen and Matt Taylor. Marty Uren in 15, and Greg Myers in the last paying position. I just got to run through the order here, give everybody a moment of glory. Salem Montgomery in 17. Jesse Caldani just put a superb move on Cuppert. John Ludden in 20th. Paul Hall in the Corvette in 21st. Weisman, holy, jumping Laurent Weisman's car, that Aston is beat to pieces as well in 22nd. Lou Mascarelli in 23rd. Christian Hamilton, same again, smashed up front end. Carter, again, all sorts of damage. And Wilkerson in 26th. Gup Douglas in 27th, and Ryan Schleif in 28th. Boy, oh boy, we got a
lot of these. A lot of the folks with the smashed up front ends did get caught up in that start melee.
First lap schmozzle, boy oh boy. But you know, it's been a bit of a layoff, and these guys are all anxious to get at it. There's no doubt about it. But Berger is opening up a commanding lead over top of Alex White. And it looks like Alex has got himself just a little bit of breathing space for Sportelli, but one little slide and Sportelli's going to be right on him. So, Ken, it looks like the top three drivers are checking out from the field.
Yeah, they certainly are. There's a 3-second gap between 1 and 3, so between Reinhard Berger and John Sportelli, and then it jumps from 3 to 7.5 seconds, so a 4.5 second lead, or a 4.5 second gap between 3 and 4. These guys are just checking out.
Yeah, and Rich Roman's got himself a bit of a comfortable gap there, but in behind him is Chris Moses, and no gap is comfortable when you got Chris Moses on your tail. But then Chris and Roman are sort of checking out from P6 and 7 as well. Monroy and Poole going at it.
Poole all over the rear bumper of Juan Monroy right now.
Yep.
There's just so much action going on.
Yep, David Poole in the Circus Lambo. Aaron Parsons all by himself in P8. And then we've got Andre Cole in P9. Marco Conti chasing him down. And Big Al Merriman chasing Marco Conti. Al having a look on Marco. And Al just can't. Yes, he did. Marco has gone wide. He has given that up to Big Al. And Johnny McIntyre is looking to take advantage of that, but couldn't quite get the job done.
Nope, Marco seems to have closed the door for John McIntyre.
Yep, Johnny had to get hard on the brakes there. Great action here for our top 10 drivers. So Marco just doing everything he can to hang on to that top 10 spot.
It looks like Marco's pulling back up on Al Merriman. Al Merriman might be suffering some aero damage because the front of his car is smashed to bits.
Yeah, he has got some serious damage. Johnny Mack in 11th, and Juan Monroy there in the Ferrari in 12th. So those guys are all in tight together. Putting on a great show tonight.
Reinhard Berger in the first position, still maintaining a comfortable lead over Alex White.
A little farther back, John Wathen is taking his car off track and lost position. Gregory Myers is taking that position away for P13. Wathen in 14, Marty Uren in 15, Matt Taylor 16, and Jessel Caladani in 17th. Salem Montgomery in 18th, Luden in 19th, Cuppet in 20th, and Weisman in 21st. Paul Hall in 22nd, Lou Mascarelli 23rd, Chuck Carter in 24th, followed by Christian Hamilton, and he is suffering some damage there too, but he's all over the track and all over the back of Chuck Carter. Wilkerson in 26th, and Gup Douglas in 27th. Schleif in 28th, and that rounds out the field. Back up.
We started with 33, so we've had some unfortunate events where drivers have had to pull out of the race.
Yeah, in such a short race, it's not totally surprising. They're just going so hard, so early, and maybe a little too aggressive. Berger out in front. White in
Looks
second.
like Berger is...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, sorry about that, Jack. I was just going to say that it looks like Berger is putting on the first clinic of the Season 21 GT1 season.
He sure is tonight, that's for sure. Berger in first, Alex White in second, and Sportelli in third. Little bit of gaps going on there, so they're just going to have to hope that one of those guys in front makes a bit of a mistake. Rich Roman comfortable in fourth, but as I said before, Chris Moses in the Ferrari sitting in fifth place.
I mean, Chris Moses showing a slight gain on Rich Roman.
And not surprising, Chris seems to get... It's almost like he goes out for a couple of laps and then he just turns on the afterburners and really can lay down some laps later in the race.
Absolutely, and it's something that we've seen out of Chris Moses time and again. Not surprising.
Nope.
David Poole holding down a solid 6th place right now in that very, very colorful Lamborghini.
Yep, Mr. Parsons in 7th, but right behind him is Andre Cole and Al Merriman into 9th. And I'm going to go on board with Al as he chases down Andre Cole. And Big Al having a look all around, but don't get caught up in your rear view mirror, Al, because Marco Conti is right there hanging in with you. That Ferrari sliding around pretty good for Al. I don't know if some of that aero damage is causing him a bit of problems or not.
Well, GTR2, the aero damage is simulated pretty darn well, so you do get some effects of the aero damage when you're racing around. Oh, we got somebody off the track there.
Yep, and I think that is Mr. Parsons. It is indeed Aaron Parsons. You'll have to excuse us, folks. It's going to take us a race or two until we can identify all the cars without keying in on them. But Aaron Parsons having trouble early on in the season. And Big Al Merriman all over the back of Andre Cole. Aaron Parsons probably going to love to see these two guys battle it out and allow him to get into the action as well. So, Big Al in 8th. Oh, and he does, and Al gets around Andre Cole to take that 7th spot. Andre with a little bit of a bobble there. And if he's got to settle that down, and now Andre Cole, Big Al has lost it on that corner and given that position back. So these two are just swapping positions in the matter of a few corners.
Great action going on for the 7th position. And looks as Andres Cole loses it, and
well, it looked like Big Al got into the back of Andre Cole and gave him a tap. That's pushed Andre back to 11. Al Merriman back to 13. So it looked like a little bit of a tap by Big Al into the back of Andre has cost them both some positions.
Well, the beneficiaries there were Parsons, Conti, and Myers.
Absolutely, and Mr. Smooth, Greg Myers, makes his way up to P9. So he has made his way up the field from his pole position, but not the greatest qualifier, but boy, that guy sure is a smooth driver, so good on Greg. Marco Conti into P8. Parsons slipped all the way back up to P7, said, thank you very much, boys.
Boy, the front of Parsons' car is all beat up, but he was the beneficiary of that that fiasco.
Yep, and Marty Al Merriman and Jesse Caldani up to P14. Way to go, Jesse. With Salem Montgomery up to P15 now.
You know, I'm just here on board with John Luden, and he's really whipping that Chevy Corvette around this track really nicely.
Yeah, I've just popped back. We've got Johnny McIntyre and Matt Taylor duking it out. Matt getting a little sideways and losing his momentum there. John Wathan down to P19. Weisman in 20th. But Weisman, boy, his Aston Martin is beat to pieces. Paul Hall.
It sure is.
Paul Hall in the Corvette in 21. Cuppett in 22nd. Lou Mascarelli in 23rd. And Gup Douglas in 24th. Chuck Carter in 25th. Wilkerson in 26th. And Christian Hamilton all the way back to 27th. Schleif in 28th.
Nine laps in the books tonight already, Jack.
Wow, going fast. And boy, oh boy, there sure is a lot of action going on around here to even keep track of it all, Ken.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you keep track of so many fast guys in a 30-minute window?
It is tough. Back up front, Reinhard, Berger, Alex White. Well, Alex has still got Berger in sight.
Yeah, there's about a 2.6 second gap between first and second. Sportelli somehow dropped back because now the gap has increased to 8 seconds.
Yeah, I noticed that on the cameras. I could see Sporto is not keeping pace with their top 2 drivers tonight. But hey, P3 in this league, not too shabby, Ken.
Oh, not at all. Very respectable.
Yeah, just went on board there with Rich Roman, and he hasn't even got Sportelli in sight. So the top 3 drivers are sure showing they've got a little bit of a pace advantage on the rest of the field. And it's going to give the rest of the field some work for next week.
Yep, looking forward to that 3-hour race next week, Jack. It's going to be a spectacular event.
Yes, and we will be able to settle down a little bit next week as well, Ken.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got Parsons in 7th, followed by Marco Conti and Greg Myers. And Greg Myers is all over the back of Marco Conti right now. Greg Myers on the inside of Marco. Marco trying to close the door, but keeping it clean. And Greg Myers holds the line. Marco on the inside, but it looks like Greg has made a superb pass.
Yep, he held his line, got by him cleanly. Good racing.
Great racing on both those guys there. It's great to see Marco hold his position and allow Greg just enough room to make his move if he could, and he did. He threaded the needle there. So a great pass there by Greg Myers to put him into P8. Marco in P9, Juan Monroy in 10, Marty Uran in 11th, Al Merriman in 12th, and Andre Cole in 13th. So that was early action. Swapping paint and slapping doors with Big Al Merriman and Andre Cole.
Reinhard Berger putting 12 laps down in the books now.
So we've only got a few laps left to go. P14 for Jesse, way to go. And John Luden in P15. And Salem Montgomery in the final points position. But Salem's being chased by Johnny McIntyre. And Salem takes it wide, and Johnny Mack is going to try and take advantage of this.
I was just on board with Salem as you were mentioning that.
And Mack looking on the inside, but Salem hangs on to that position. But he has got a mirror full of knee sand.
Wasn't quite close enough to put the moves on him, but looks like John McIntyre keeps dodging to the inside and the outside, trying to get around Salem.
Well, I think the key here for Salem is to hold his line and make Johnny drive around him. But it is the final points position, so these guys are battling for it. Johnny Mack down on the inside has a look. Boy, as we talked about earlier, there is great racing from front to back here. McIntyre in 17th.
And that's the way it is.
Yep. Salem Montgomery in 16. Luden in 15. Caldani in 14th. And Caldani is all over the back of Big Al Merriman. Caldani
trying to pick up a slight draft here down the front straightaway.
And he may just do it here. And Al getting him wide here, and Caldani making a pass on the inside, but Al, Caldani hanging, just barely hanging on to that. I don't think Caldani's done. I think he is going to try again. It looks like he might have a bit of a speed advantage there over Big Al.
Well, he's got about 2 laps to do it in if he wants to improve his position, but certainly putting on an impressive show here. I've not seen Caldani race before, so this is new to me, and I gotta say, I'll echo your sentiments. I'm being impressed by what I'm seeing from Caldani tonight.
And he is having another look on the inside and gives Big Al the little taparoo and says, "Get out of my way, you're holding me back." And Caldani takes that position, and Big Al is coming right back at him.
Yeah, it looks like Caldani's got slight pace on Al's car right now, so he gave him a kiss, a love tap, and says, "Excuse me, boss, but let me by."
And I agree with you 100% there. It just looked like that Lambo just had a little bit more speed. And when Caldani asked for it, he got it. But Caldani's car looks pretty clean as compared to Al's. Al's is beat to pieces. So as we wind her down, I'm going to move up the grid. We got Caldani into 13. Cole into 12. And you know what? Caldani might not be done. He may be going after Andre Cole. Marty Uren in 11. Greg Myers in 10. Connie in 9. Monroy in 8. Parsons in 7. Poole in 6. Moses in 5 as Moses chases down Rich Roman, but I think we might run out of time there. So where are we on laps here?
Looks like we've got 14 in the books, so we may be working on our final lap here for this 30-minute race, Jack.
Well, Reinhard Berger has sure brought some surprise talent to this field, for me at least. And I think that is it. The race is done.
There you have it.
Berger, White, Sportelli, Roman coming around in 4th. Moses in 5th. Poole in 6th. Parsons in 7th. Monroy in 8th. Connie in 9th. Myers in 10th. Uren in 11th. And Cole and Caldani. Caldani on the inside, and Caldani is racing Cole for that 12 spot, but Cole looks like he's hanging on. Caldani's coming back again at him. And Caldani down the inside. What? Oh, and give a little love.
Turns into Caldani.
And boy, oh boy, Jesse Caldani is going to take that 12 spot away from Andre Cole. Big Al Merriman in 13, in 14, Luden in 15, McIntyre in 16, Montgomery in 17, Matt Taylor in 18th, Weisman in 19th, Douglas is 20th, Paul Hall 21st, Wilkerson in 22nd, Hamilton 23rd, Lou Mascarelli is parked it in 24th, Carter's parked it in 25th, Watson 26th, Schleif 27th. Wow, Kenny, what do you think?
Certainly an exciting race. 30-minute races always provide a lot of action. Yeah, this was good.
This was furious. I don't know if we could. I know that was a tough one to keep up with. But I'll tell you one thing. I am super impressed with that Jesse Caldani. That kid never gave up until the final corner. And he didn't give up in the final corner. He took a position away in the final corner. Good on him. I'd like to see more of this kid out there.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. I'm very impressed by his run tonight and his display of driving prowess. So good on Jesse Caldani, and we'd just like to give you your moment of fame in our broadcast.
Yes, and also, Reinhard Berger, excellent clinic you put on tonight. You were chased by the White Lightning. So we got Great Britain against Germany. Boy, that's reminiscent of something in the past. And John Sportelli out of New York, picking up the top 3 spots there. So, great race. I guess we'll continue this on next Thursday for our 3-hour feature.
Yep, absolutely, Jack. Looking forward to that race right here in Dubai. And all of our drivers here at NAGP putting on their best show. Very competitive spirit here at NAGP.
Well, Ken, thanks for being along with me tonight. And we will be back next Thursday for NAGP GT1 feature race, Dubai, 3 hours. Be there.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jack, and we will see you all next week. Have a good night.
Thanks, folks, and good night from NAGP TV.